So we have something pretty special today on RetroCore's Chinese knockoffs. We've got a knockoff Xbox One. Now obviously this is not going to be a real Xbox One, but they've certainly knocked off the design. Look at that. It's even got a fake CD loading tray or DVD loading tray. Control ports are USB. The Xbox logo is actually the power button. Great big fake vent there for what should be the fan, but there's nothing in there. And around the back, you can see we've got power in, composite video out. We don't want to use that crap because we've got HDMI. Finally, a Chinese clone maker has added HDMI. About time too. And over here we have a TF slot, which for some reason they always call TF, but basically a micro SD card slot. Okay, but before we take a look at this system running, let's take a look at what's in the box. Okay, so this is the box. It's actually well made. It's a bit bashed, but what you expect is from China. It has that glossy finish to the colored parts on it. So the box actually cost them a bit, and it's got an HDMI logo on it. Definitely, they're not paying royalties for that. On the side, we can see what the various controls do. Most important: start and select, quit, or archive the game. Archive the game, I wonder. And I wonder if these are really analog. Probably not. 64-bit BIOS with a sticker, so I wonder exactly what the BIOS was originally. Okay, supports arcade games, CPS-1, CPS-2, Neo Geo, and Game Boy Advance. Super Famicom, Sega, that probably means Mega Drive only. NES and NES game series, so Famicom as well. Ultra large capacity, support TF card, micro SD card, HD video. Wow. Okay, on the other side, just tells you what's in the box. 2 controllers, HDMI, the composite audio, and a power pack. Well, let's take a look inside the X game. Okay. So everything is just thrown in there, typical willy-nilly. We got an instruction piece of paper, and on here it just gives you the basics on how to make the machine function. Nothing special there. We've got 2 of these PlayStation DualShock rip-off controllers. They feel horrible, really plasticky, but I mean, yeah, the D-pad's horrible as well, to be honest. Start and select, analog. Well, actually, they do feel analog. Yeah, they might actually be real analog. And yeah, it's got C, D, A, B. You got your trigger buttons here. Yeah, they don't feel very nice. No rumble motors as expected. Man, that does feel like real cheap crap. Anyway, you get 2 of them. You got the almighty cheap composite cable. And they actually give you an HDMI cable. A miracle. Okay, so let's get this thing connected to the TV and see what it's all about. Okay, so first off, let's take a look at the HDMI pitch quality. As you can see, it looks fairly good. But unfortunately, it sort of outputs at a weird 480p, which the capture card didn't like, so I ended up recording most of the video in composite. And this is what the composite video looks like. And as you can see, it also looks pretty good. Surprisingly very clean for composite video. Now I must apologize for those who don't like the scan lines, because I actually had them switched on the FrameMeister by mistake. Yeah, I should have switched them off actually. Anyway, when you boot up the machine, you get this menu here. Now going into the Neo Geo section will actually also include all the CPS games. Now at first the menus look really nice because they have little arcade flyers next to each game title, but being Chinese they've gone and done a lazy thing and basically only give you flyers halfway through the list. And that's not only in the arcade section, that's in every section. So what's the emulation like on this thing? Well, here we go with a CPS game. This is Darkstalkers. Oh, some glitch in there on Modigan's face. And yeah, as you can see, it's kind of okay. There's a bit of screen splitting in there. In fact, screen splitting happens on everything on this thing. So no matter what type of system you're using, you can bring up this menu. So you can change how many frames the machine will skip. Doesn't matter how many frames you put there because it doesn't make any difference. You can also change your button settings. And instant archive, which is basically save state. So you can also put them onto the SD card as well. So let's take a look at another Capcom CPS game. This is The Punisher. Again, this seems to run pretty well, but it does have screen tearing. And here we go with the more advanced Capcom game. This is Street Fighter 03 or Street Fighter Alpha 3. Yeah, speed wise, it's not bad. I mean, it is a little bit jerky, it is dropping a lot of frames, but you know, it's totally playable. Okay, next up, let's take a look at a Neo Geo game. This is the King of Fighters 96. And just look how badly this runs. You can see straight away from the shadows that it's running very slow. Yeah, it's terrible. It's dropping loads of frames. Got screen tearing. It's kind of playable, but not very. Also, I must say that playing the game with these USB pads that come with it, it's not easy. They are awful. I did try using an Xbox 360 pad, and it kind of works, but all the buttons are mapped in weird locations, so you'd have to remap all the buttons. And here we go with another Neo Geo game. This is Sonic Wings 2. And this one crashes on the audio. See? So yeah, Neo Geo Emulation isn't the best on this thing. Here we go, let's take a look at Pro Gear, more Capcom CPS games. And this kind of runs a little bit jerky as well. But it is playable. Screen looks horrible though, it really looks like it's been squashed into that box. They certainly don't run in native resolution, that's for sure. Okay, so let's take a look at some Game Boy Advance titles. Here we go with Sonic Advance 3. As you can clearly hear, it sounds bloody awful. And it runs like shit too. But the driver seems to run okay. Or is this driver 3? I can't remember now. But yeah, this seems to run pretty much as you'd expect. The controls are bloody awful though, that's for sure. And taking a look at Game Boy Advance Tekken, well, yeah, that seems to run just as you'd expect as well, no problems there. And keeping with Game Boy Advance, let's take a look at the Need for Speed. Again, it seems to be running at the correct speed. And finally on the Game Boy Advance, let's take a look at Gradius Advance. Now while this does seem to be running at a pretty good speed, the audio is completely messed up. So Game Boy Advance emulation on this thing is patchy at best. Okay, moving on to 16 bits, here we go with the Super Famicom, or SNES, or SNES, or Super NES, depending on what you want to call it. This is Rockman X3, and as you can see, it runs like a jerky mess. It is playable, but you wouldn't want to play Rockman X like this. And the sound is also a little bit scratchy. But while Rockman X has, or sorry, Mega Man X3 seems to have a scratchy sound, Turtles in Time seems to sound just fine. And here we go with Ninja Warriors again. Seems to sound okay, but it's got terrible screen tearing. Now apparently this machine is meant to have a dual core CPU in it, but I don't think it has. Or if it has, maybe it's got a dual core 486 if such a thing existed. Here we go with Kiki Kai Kai 2, and this actually slows down in places where it shouldn't do. It's also got very low volume as well. So far the arcade emulation is on and off, the Game Boy Advance emulation is on and off, and the Super Nintendo emulation is also on and off. But what about Mega Drive? Well, I can see Gunstar Heroes here running as you'd expect. Even the sound's okay. But did you just notice the slowdown on Sonic the Hedgehog 2 then? That doesn't happen on the real game. Also the sound is also a bit scratchy, especially when you pick up the coins. And that frame rate is terrible. And here's a weird one, the way Vapor Trail does its sound is kinda unique, but on this machine it doesn't have any music at all. But Twinkle Tail seems to sound okay. Yeah, God knows what type of emulator they're using for Mega Drive games, but it certainly is a weird one. Very inconsistent. And as you can see in here, Mega Turrican seems to be okay. Okay, and finally we come on to the Famicom emulation, or NES emulation. this has really muffled audio. And when you play it on the actual real machine without me editing the audio to make it sound louder, it is actually very, very quiet. But the speed seems to be okay. And finally we finish with Shattered Hand. Or was that Shatterhand? Shattered Hand? Who knows? Well, anyway, it's a game by Natsume. Same thing as the other NES Famicom games. You know, it seems to run at a decent speed, but it does suffer from really awful muffled sound. And you got the screen tearing as well. So what do I think of this device? Well, for the price of it, it was around about 7,000 yen. But you know, you may as well just pay a little bit extra and get yourself a budget PC. And you should be able to run all these games full speed at the full frame rate. This thing, it can't do anything right. Yet again, another load of crap from China. Good idea, but not good in practice.